It's day 7 of our creativity exercise challenge. If you haven't gotten this activity book yet, go ahead and click right here. All right, for this activity, we are going to create with what we have. So all these shapes right here, we're going to draw a picture from these shapes. And we're going to talk about sometimes we think we will be more creative if we have this or that or such and such, and we put it off. But the truth is we can be creative with what we already have in front of us. So today I don't have my timer because I'm going to just use this video as a timer, so you can go ahead and start right now. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm looking at these shapes and thinking about what they remind me of. And it's kind of a weird shape right here, but I could totally, if I wanted to, make this into a circle and a sun around it, or this kind of looks like a candelabra. I think that's what you call those. I could make this with a big table with some weird object on it. There's so many options, but the first thing that I thought of was a cow. So I'm gonna make a cow. I'm gonna make a body right here. So sometimes we put off being creative because we don't have a really nice creative space. We don't have the money for art supplies. Oh gosh, we have kids and they occupy a lot of our time and energy. What are some other major ones out there? If you can think of any, let me know in the comments below. Space, time, inspiration. Sometimes we're just not feeling it. We don't feel like creating. And most of the time it's because we haven't created for a long time that we don't feel like creating something, because there's tons of things that can inspire us every day. You know, just I am inspired by nature, so going out in nature inspires me to create. But there's like beauty in so many things, and even just creating and not having anything in mind is actually quite fun and relaxing. So what keeps us from doing it is most of the time excuses. And excuses are just basically a way of saying I don't want to. And I had so many excuses like years ago. I didn't create art for a while, and most of the excuses I had were just, basically it was just saying that's just not my priority right now, and I might need a straight edge to get straight lines. I'm having troubles. Anyhow, so I had a family and I wanted to really focus on that because it was occupying my time and energy. And when I was a mom, I really didn't know quite what I was doing. You know, I was the youngest child, and I was a horrible babysitter, to be honest. And I always wanted to have kids, but I really didn't know what I was doing, and I wanted to do it right. And so I really took the time to focus on that, and I put off art for a little while. And I made, instead of just saying, hey, you know what, I want to focus on having a family, I felt guilty doing art because I had kids, and I felt guilty not doing art because I knew that was one of my passions and what I was supposed to do. So yeah, it was interesting situation. And the real deal breaker for me was I talked to the illustrator Brandon Dorman, which was quite an interesting how that came about anyways. And he talked about, these are my editors by the way, he talked about, actually I think I was going to make this a male cow. Oh well, I'm not anymore. And I think they have 4. I don't even remember. But anyways, focus. So he talked about how he works at home and he has a lot of distractions, but he makes making art a priority. And even though he's not a mom and he can't understand that whole mother part of it, he does understand the distraction and the priority part of it. And he said, you know, you can't make excuses. You just got to do it. And it took me a long time to realize the truth in those words. Because honestly, I thought about, you know, I was getting my husband through college. Every cent was important to us. And I made the excuse, I don't have the money for art supplies. And then when I would sell artwork, I would use that money to buy art supplies. And I felt guilty when I was doing that too. And so there was a lot of guilt involved with the art making, which is probably why I didn't do it for a little while. And I'm a very visual person, and I like to have a nice space that's inspiring to create in. And I had a kitchen. Like, we lived in a tiny apartment, and when I painted, I had a big easel and I got out my oil paints and they had to dry forever and my kids couldn't get into them and all that jazz. And so that was an excuse. But honestly, I could have made some changes and just created with watercolor. I could have had just a watercolor notebook and a tiny little watercolor kit and just played around with watercolors and got out my creativity that way. So it's really, and it would have been cheap too. It's really important to know that we can create with just a pen and a piece of paper, and this is free, you know? We don't have to get so stuck on all these, well, I'll create if, and I'll do this if, and honestly, we can do a lot of things by just making up our mind we're going to do them. Anyway, I wasn't happy, blah, 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 and I figured out that I needed to create art, blah, 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 and that I could just create with what I had and stop making excuses and just create for the love of it instead of having so many expectations. I think the expectation thing, yeah, was really hurting me. So, yeah, that is my story in a nutshell. I mean, we really, really honestly, if we want to create, we will just do it because it's fun. I've been watching, that's supposed to be hair on the tail, by the way. What's it called? Alone. And they go out and they do like this survival thing, and they're alone in their survival quests, and they can win money, and they have to basically be alone and survive off the land in the forest. It's a really cool show. Anyhows, so some of the contestants, they all had different like ways that they did things, and there's not one wrong way to do things. I'm just saying that the winner, I think it was this Thursday they had the winner announced, and I kind of watched it and kind of didn't because I was working. And one of the things that I noticed about him and why he won was he was, well, in even the runner-up too, And the third contestant too. They were extremely creative. They didn't just sit there, they would make things, they would do things, and they were like starving to death, you know, they were really, really hungry. Yet they took the time to do something creative because they knew that was important. So, and they didn't let, well, I have no calories in me, I don't have the perfect spot to be creative, I'm out here in the wilderness and that kind of thing. They didn't, no. They just created because they knew that was going to keep them sane. So it's really important. And I hope you're enjoying these creativity exercises. I think we might be time up. We are. So there's my cow. Well, let me know in the comments below what you created, and I will see you next week for another creativity exercise. Bye!